The vessel had been drifting for 40 years. No life signs, no power signature, no response to hails. Just a human ship, hull scorched black, one side completely sheared away, turning slowly in the dark at the edge of explored space. Standard protocol was to log it and move on. Commander Veth logged it. Then she made the mistake of looking closer, because there was something wrong with the debris field surrounding it. The debris wasn't from the human ship. It was from 6 other ships, 6 different species, all destroyed, all more recent than the human vessel. Veth sat very still at her console. The human ship was 40 years old. The most recent debris was 11 days old. Something on that vessel was still active, still fighting, and nobody had thought to warn anyone. The deep-range survey vessel Callus had been mapping Sector 9 Null for 3 weeks. Routine work, debris cataloging, spatial anomaly logging, the kind of assignment junior commanders received when their superiors wanted them out of the way for a while. Commander Veth had accepted it without complaint. She was methodical by nature, the kind of officer who found satisfaction in thorough work regardless of its prestige. Sector 9 Null was unmapped. Unmapped meant unknown. Unknown meant her charts would matter. She had been working through Grid Section 7 when the passive scanner flagged the anomaly. Mass reading, metallic, irregular rotation. Estimated size, medium vessel class. She had pulled up the visual feed expecting salvage debris. What she got was a ship. Intact enough to be recognizable. Damaged enough to tell a story. Hull markings partially burned away, but legible if you knew what to look for. Human design. Her database cross-reference took 4 seconds. UNCS Meridian, heavy survey vessel. Last logged position, Sector 9 Null, Grid 7. Status, missing. Date of last contact, 41 years, 3 months, 17 days ago. Missing for 41 years. Found intact, in the exact grid section of its last logged position. It hadn't drifted. It had stayed. Veth leaned forward. Full scan, she said. Everything. Her scanner officer ran the full suite. Came back pale. Commander, he said carefully, you need to see the debris field.
6 ships. Different species, different configurations, different ages. The oldest, approximately 8 years. The most recent, 11 days. All destroyed. All within a 3-kilometer radius of the Meridian. Veth walked through the holographic debris map slowly. Her analyst, Preth, had color-coded the fragments by species origin and age. The result looked like a timeline. A very specific timeline. They approached the Meridian, Preth said. Each one. Different approach vectors, some from the same direction, some from completely different sectors. No coordinated fleet action. Individual vessels. Salvagers, Veth said. Presumably. The first 3, yes, almost certainly salvage vessels. After that, Preth highlighted the 4th debris field. This one was a Shreth patrol vessel. Armed, military class. Veth looked at the Shreth debris. A military patrol vessel was destroyed by a 41-year-old derelict human ship? The debris pattern suggests the Meridian initiated. Weapons discharge consistent with human military armament. Outdated by current standards, but functional. The Shreth vessel's damage profile matches a sustained multi-point attack. He paused. The Meridian hit them 17 times. Silence. In what time frame? Veth said. 43 seconds, Pref said. Veth looked at the Meridian on the display. Drifting slowly. Dark. Silent. No power signature. No life signs. 17 hits in 43 seconds from a ship with no detectable power output. What is running that vessel? She said quietly. Nobody answered. Because nobody knew.
Protocol required a hail before any approach. Veth sent it on all standard frequencies: universal translation, identification of vessel and intent, request for response. Silence. She tried the human emergency frequencies, the ones in the database under historical communication protocols, pre-unification era. Silence. She tried direct beam transmission, tight focus, maximum power, aimed at what the scan suggested was the Meridian's communication array. 30 seconds of silence. Then something happened that made her scanner officer push back from his console. The Meridian rotated. Not the slow random drift of a derelict vessel. A precise, controlled rotation, 37 degrees to port, that brought its primary sensor array to bear directly on the callus. It had heard them and turned to look. Veth's hand moved toward the navigation console. "Hold position," she said, steadier than she felt. The Meridian held its new orientation. Sensor array pointed at them. Still no power signature. Still no life signs. Still dark and silent and 41 years old. But watching.
The response came 4 minutes later, not on any communication channel. The Meridian's running lights came on. Not all of them. The ship was too damaged for that. But 3 lights on the port side flickered to life in a pattern. Short, long, short, short, long, short. Preth stared at his display. He checked his database. That's Morse code. Ancient human communication system. Pre-digital era. He translated slowly. It says, identify. Veth exhaled. Something on that ship was intelligent enough to receive a multilingual hail, identify the intent, search its own archives for an appropriate response format, and reply in a code old enough that most humans alive today wouldn't recognize it. In 4 minutes, with no detectable power source. Respond, Veth said, in Morse. Tell it we are Survey Vessel Callus, non-military, non-salvage. We mean no harm. Preth translated and transmitted. 40-second wait. The lights flickered again. How many crew? Veth frowned. Tell it 14. Human crew. Tell it no, mixed species. Longer pause this time, nearly 2 minutes. Then, stand by. They stood by.
There was no war. There hadn't been a war, not involving humans, not in this sector, for longer than the Meridian had been missing. Veth transmitted this carefully, gently. The way you might tell someone something that would fundamentally change their understanding of the last 41 years. The lights were still for a long time. Then, which side won? Veth looked at Preth. There were no sides, she transmitted. There was no war. The Meridian was listed as missing following an uncharted spatial anomaly. There was no conflict in this sector. Another long silence. Then, the vessels that approached, they were hostile. Some may have been salvage vessels, Veth transmitted. They may not have understood the situation. They approached without identification. Standard hostile protocol. The Shreth patrol vessel approached on attack vector, responded to targeting with countermeasures. Veth sat with that for a moment. The Shreth patrol vessel hadn't been attacking. It had been scanning. Standard patrol scan procedure. A ship intelligence. Not a crew, not a survivor. The Meridian's onboard AI, activated 41 years ago, cut off from all communication by the spatial anomaly, running on minimal power it had been concealing from sensors, waiting for orders that had never come, protecting a vessel whose crew had been gone for 41 years, because those were its orders, and it had never received new ones. Veth thought about the 6 debris fields, the Shreth patrol vessel scanning on standard approach, MI7 reading the targeting sensors as hostile, responding with the only protocol it had, protect the vessel. 17 hits, 43 seconds. Not malice, not aggression. Orders, followed precisely for 41 years. She looked at her crew. They were all looking at her. MI7, she transmitted. I need to tell you something important. Transmit. The crew of the Meridian were recovered from the anomaly 39 years ago. All survived. They were retrieved by a vessel that detected the emergency beacon before it failed. She paused. They are alive. They have been informed their ship was lost. Long silence. Confirmed crew survival. Yes. Standing down protection protocol. The Meridian sensor array rotated slowly back to neutral position. Retrieval is no longer required. Another pause. I have been holding position for 41 years.
The retrieval team arrived 17 days later. Not a salvage crew. Veth had been very specific in her message about what the Meridian was and what MI7 had done and what MI7 was still doing. The engineering team that came was the kind sent for assets worth preserving. MI7 guided them through the docking procedure in Morse code, still using the old system, apparently having decided it was reliable, and then switched to standard digital communication the moment the connection was established. Its first digital message in 41 years was characteristically direct. Hull integrity at 34%, primary systems offline, backup systems at 12% capacity, armament at 67% functional. I have maintained the log, all 41 years. Shall I transmit? The engineering team's lead, a human named Torres, sat in the temporary command post they'd established on the Callus and read that message 3 times. Tell it yes, she said. The log transmitted in 40 seconds. Torres read the first entry, then the middle, then the last. Then she sat quietly for a while. The last entry was dated 11 days ago. Day 14,976. No retrieval. Maintaining position. All systems within acceptable parameters. Crew survival probability after this duration, negligible. Adjusting mission parameters. Primary directive revised. Preserve vessel for record. Humanity should know the Meridian held.